Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Seth, psychologist. I want in this video to answer a question that I heard this week that I think could actually be helpful to a lot of people. But first, if you're thinking that my hair looks really good today, I think you're right. I kind of think so too. All right. I threw a jacket on just to kind of celebrate it, actually, in fact. So here we go. Here's the question, and it's about codependency. Actually, I have done several videos on codependent relationships because this is one of the most common relationship problems that people tend to suffer from. This over enmeshment, this over fusion in a relationship, getting so close to a person that almost the boundaries between the two disappear. And there is this actual pressure, this pressure unconsciously that a lot of people feel that they are supposed to be the same. They are supposed to want the same. They are supposed to act the same. They are supposed to really function as the same kind of person. And a lot of times in codependent relationships, there are moments of friction and tension. Why? Because everyone is an individual. And as much as someone may tell themselves they like being so close and so fused to another person, in many ways, we are wired to be individuals as well. And so feeling too confined in a relationship that's too close sometimes can make people feel claustrophobic and they want to crawl not out of their skin, but actually out of the relationship, at least for a moment. So that's kind of why a lot of tensions and conflicts are inevitable from time to time in relationships that are codependent. But here's the question that I got this week that I wanted to share with you. If you're a codependent person, can you ever truly get over codependency? Can you ever truly get over it so that codependency, having a codependent relationship or operating that way with a person, isn't a problem for you anymore? Do you have any thoughts on that yourself, just watching this? If you are someone who's had a codependent relationship in the past, ask yourself now, think about all the different relationships that you may have in your life now, family, romantic, friends. Ask yourself, are you codependent with anyone now? Well, you may be able to come up with your own answer. Maybe you have gotten to a place where you had codependent relationships in the past, but you no longer try to fuse with another person to that extent. Maybe you're having a codependent relationship now. Maybe you are wondering yourself if this is something that you can ever get out of. The short answer, because I can talk forever. Dr. Seth, no doubt, can talk forever. The short answer is yes, a person can truly recover from codependency. A person can get to a point where they no longer have any codependent relationship in their life if they do the work. Now, for some people, they go to therapy to try to deal with that and heal their codependency, to try to understand why do they need to be so close to another person, right? Why do they need to fuse so badly? You know, that's something a lot of people do in therapy, but you don't need to do just therapy for it. There are great books on it. In fact, the number one book that I recommend for anyone who has enmeshed, fused relationships is Melody Beattie's book, Codependent No More. I wish that I had thought to write that book. What a service this woman did for the world. And it has sold millions of copies. Such a wonderful, helpful book. Just reading that book, becoming educated, watching videos like this. I have some experience treating people with codependent relationships as a clinical psychologist myself. So, yes, it is possible to recover from them, to get to a point where you no longer will have that degree of enmeshment and dysfunction in a relationship. You can get to the point where you no longer want or even seek out a relationship that is that fused and enmeshed. You know that it's unhealthy and you resist any urges that you feel to have it. You acknowledge that you are a separate individual from that person. You learn how to have a connection with someone that's healthy, not an over connection, because that is really what codependency is. It is over connection, and with over connection comes anxiety. Okay, real serious anxiety, whether the codependent is aware of it or whether it's unconscious and they're not. Okay, but yes, it is possible with work to overcome having codependent relationships, to putting that dysfunction in your rear view mirror so you don't have it in your life anymore. But what you may find, what some codependents do find who have done the work and healed and recovered and learned how to actually have healthy relationships, is that from time to time, they may feel that old pull to have codependence. They may from time to time feel that pull, that really strong urge to want to fuse. So, just a couple of examples that I can give. Someone might be saying goodbye to someone that they love, and they might feel like it is actually painful. They might try to do things to try to postpone the separation, keep that person here longer, or they might overthink about the person and worry about them when they leave to a degree that's not healthy. Okay, a little worry is normal when we care about people, but too much. They may feel that pull for codependency, but they don't necessarily have to live in it. Maybe, the codependent feelings last for an hour. Maybe they last for a few minutes. Maybe they last for 2 or 3 days. But then they get to the point where they say, whoa, I felt those strong urges to want to fuse with them, but I resisted it. I resisted it, and I can feel a moment of serenity and peace because I resisted that urge. That's sort of one example. Another example that people could feel who have recovered largely from codependency is they may be in a relationship with someone and together they are trying to make a decision, and maybe the two people feel differently about it. Each expresses their feelings or their beliefs, and they're different. Well, if you're a codependent person, you can want there to be complete agreement. Or if there is any disagreement, you really quickly want to wrap things up and make sure everybody feels okay and you're back together again and you feel good and warmly towards each other again, as opposed to what is healthy, which is sometimes after a disagreement to allow there to be a little space. Everything doesn't need to be wrapped up immediately into a bow. There are some times when two people in relationship need to go to their separate corners and each person just needs to sit with their feelings and accept their feelings and know maybe for a small period of time there is not this sense of perfect cohesion and agreement between those two people, but to some extent that's life. To some extent, that's life. And see, what codependents do who are in their active codependency, they try to prevent reality from taking over. They try to over control the relationship. They try to over control things so that they can block out reality and create the fantasy reality that they really tell themselves they want. They try to create this fantasy of fusion because in the moment, the active codependent in their active codependency tells them that that fusion is where they get that sense of emotional bliss, but it's not bliss. It almost has an addictive component to it. Why? Because it's insatiable. It's never enough. You can never fuse enough with another person when you depend on a relationship with another person to make you feel whole. So, as I wrap up here, overcoming codependency is all about learning to feel whole on your own. Yes, you still can have relationships. You can have perfectly wonderful, loving relationships, but you will remain a separate but whole person in doing that. Okay? I'm Dr. Seth, psychologist. Check out other videos on my YouTube channel here, Dr. Seth, psychologist.